The Protection of State Information Bill has been passed in the National Assembly today. The bill has been heavily criticised by opposition parties and activists who say it punishes whistleblowers. There is now a clause that protects those who disclose confidential information as long as it's in the public interest or exposing a crime. Well, for more, I'm now joined by Wits University Professor Anton Harber. Thank you for joining us, Professor. We have seen the power of protest here, this groundswell, and a lot of people saying that the changes made are substantial. Despite that, is this still a sad day for you?
Well, let me put it this way. The bill passed today, although it still has some problems and we still have some issues with it, represents a victory for those who stand in favor of openness and against secrecy, because it has moved so far from where it was 2 years ago. And that's really the result of public pressure, of protest, of all the action that citizens have undertaken to oppose it. And there are issues that still need to be addressed, and hopefully those will be tested in the Constitutional Court. But I think we can say that a great deal has been won for openness in the last 2 years, from where this bill was to where it is now.
Does this look good for our government? The Director General of State Security saying that a balance has been achieved. This is a caring and listening government.
Well, I don't think they listened because they wanted to. I think the security people wanted to ram it through in a tough way some time back. But it was the force of citizen unhappiness, protest. It was organization, it was the threat of constitutional court action. It's really a sign of how valuable it is when citizens engage in these issues and take on laws that have problems.
It is expected now to spark a court challenge. A lot of people want this to go through to the Constitutional Court. What for you, from a media perspective, are the sticking points still?
Well, there is now protection for whistleblowers, but it's a partial protection, and one would like to see a more complete protection. And the penalties, let's say, are still 25 years, so those are quite draconian. The minister is, they limited who can classify material, but the minister can still give that power to quite a wide range of people without sufficient public consultation. So there are technical areas like that which could still be improved and which still have some potential to be abused.
The DA is worried about provincial archives now being under the scope of security, national security. Is that something, a spat, something relating to Cape Town, or something we should be worried about as well?
I think that the attempt by security to get a hold on all of these things is not just unfortunate, it's quite foolish. And to centralize control over these things is quite unfortunate. I think you want just the opposite. You want as much openness as possible, and then restrictions to be limited to those things that are absolutely necessary. But let me say this, we live in the age of WikiLeaks. We live in the age when leaking is easy, anonymous leaking is very easy. It's the age of Twitter. So one of the strange things about this bill is it's quite outdated. It's an attempt to take old-fashioned security and put it in place in an era in which social media and the internet have made the sharing of information that much easier and made anonymous whistleblowing very easy.
It is also an era, though, when a lot of governments are worried about security. Are we in line with sort of the global trend, or are we out of step and, like you say, going backwards?
Oh, we're quite out of step. The global trend, the African trend, led by countries like Kenya, is to make more and more information open, to see that government is more efficient if it puts the information out there and gives it to citizens and empowers citizens to use that information. There are narrow areas where there are security issues, but those are increasingly being seen as narrow, whereas here there's an attempt to widen it out. So there's no doubt the global trend, except in repressive countries like China, is to open up as much as possible.
Ben Turek, the ANC MP who voted against and now for, says the parliamentary process is basically run its course. Do you think we will see a really robust engagement now in the courts, and what do you expect? Are you confident about a fair law coming out of the Constitutional Court?
Oh, I think the fight goes on. I've no doubt it will go to the Constitutional Court. It will be tested there. There will be ongoing protests if the Act, once it's passed, is used in any repressive way. So I think the protection of the rights we have to information and to openness and to hold government to account, that battle is ongoing. It will continue. And what we've seen is how important and valuable and successful it can be.
All right, thank you for your analysis this afternoon. And that was Professor Anton Harber from Wits University.
News that moves. eNCA.com.